Hi, John.
Hi, Darren.
It's a real pleasure and honor to get to pick your mind from a master of the form.
Oh, God.
I'll start with a little embarrassing moments. But I want to start the questions with how, at the beginning, not the beginning of your life, but more about how you start one of these sculptures.
A lot of my decisions or instincts are related to other things that I enjoyed. I think especially music. And I think the idea of movement through space. I love any number of different sports. When I begin, it's usually a dot or a line moving through space. I guess there's a feeling of forces moving that I want to be a part of. So it has a lot to do with movement.
Interesting, because they are all forms that have linear time, but sculpture by nature is frozen in time. Are you taking a snapshot of one moment of the sculpture?
I really don't want to know what this thing is going to look like. And I also don't want to think about it as a thing or a thing that I'm making, much rather have as a conversation. So I think timing in space is a huge factor.
So, to be clear, there isn't a final end product when you start. You're starting with an openness that anything can happen. So there's no pre-sketch to any of these. There's no blueprint. There's no screenplay.
No. So I would try to imagine the smallest given particle in a dot, or maybe a very short line. How would I approach that in space? And literally, I would somehow find a way to place it in space and try to figure out what is this, what's going on. Somehow I make it to the second step and try another piece. And visually, they have, no matter what you do, there's some sort of impact. Each time I add another piece, it's not just complex, it's the interaction there's something going on, some kind of conversation beginning. If I can only learn to listen or to observe and to perceive it accurately. And this conversation goes on, and danger is that you want to make something, but is it what the initial idea wants to be? Quite often there's an inner battle
Between the idea and the aesthetic?
And what I want from it. It's a negotiation of, is it what I want or is it what the idea wants?
Right. I remember this assignment in math where you kind of had a graph and you connected a point high on the x-axis to low on the y-axis, and you slowly kept going until you make this perfect grid by doing it. And I understand how you can do that on paper. How do you think about that in three-dimensional in space? How do you see it? I mean, it's so mathematical and perfect. It's all by eye, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's what you do. But it's just, that's that moment when it lines up that you know it's in the right place. Or how to talk about that in any way? How do you see it so clearly?
Well, when you work with grid, it's like it has its own set of laws that it follows. You just have to be consistent in what you're doing. If you're working with a certain grid and describing joining, at certain points, well, if you're just consistent,
right,
things will happen. It's like they're like moire patterns.
Yeah.
You look at them and they're like your eyes start fluttering.
Yeah, exactly.
But That's if you just keep one set of patterns and another set of patterns, and they converge at certain points.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything. You just have to be consistent.
Mm.
You know, you don't do it here and then all of a sudden decide to do it there.
Yeah. It's interesting because I mean, I guess it's very similar to music, and I don't know music composition, but you go note by note, I imagine, and then eventually get to the end of the piece. It's much easier to edit music. But you're in a similar process where you're starting off with an idea and flowing to the end. Sure, you can make mistakes and go back, but it's very hard once you get to the end to lift a piece of the middle and to replace it. While music, it's an eraser, a whiteout, or someone else transcribes it and you fill it in. Definitely in screenplays, it's very easy to cut out a little piece of the middle and stick in a new scene. I think you just have to have a much more assured pacing to get through it. But I wonder if you've ever gotten to the end and realized a huge chunk of the middle was off.
That's happened.
And is there surgery that can fix that, or is that usually the end of end of times?
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's just way beyond what it can survive. Sometimes I have to go on for a few months working, and then I look at it and I said, somewhere I missed something, and I have to do surgery.
What's the best result you can get from someone who's viewing your work?
I think surprise is,
yes.
Because I want to be able to do something that didn't seem possible.
Does it have a name, or do you remember the name?
The Shared Destinies.
Shared Destinies.
Yeah.
And does the name come at the end, or does it come during the creation, or when does it happen?
Well, for a long time, I didn't have any titles because I didn't think they were necessary. And then, I saw other artists, long titles and everything. I thought one thing missing in my work is words. I think it can be an important part of the perception of the work. So I started making up titles, and it would happen somewhere in the middle of a piece or something, never at the very beginning. Before I started doing it, I had no idea how I would resolve that.
Right, but you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You knew eventually they would have to somehow.
Exactly.
And does it satisfy you, or how does it feel?
Well, it's like a narrow escape.
When you place a piece correctly and it ends up lasting, where do you feel it in your body?
That's a good question. I don't know.
How do you know it's right in the moment? Can you try to describe that moment of that, of being in the right place at the right time?
I think there is a certain kind of tension. I always wondered when I was a student that teachers kept talking about tension. So what does he mean by that? But there is almost like a magnetic attraction or repulsion. There are forces acting. I don't think you feel distinctly, this is this and that's that, but you feel the tension of something pulling, something attracting, something compressing.
Right. But when the idea is right, is the tension released, or is the tension more extreme?
I think you have to follow the storyline if it's there. It's like finding a path. There's a certain point where you recognize something's happening. I better listen, and I better let it happen, you know. And even that's like progress, clearing the way for an idea to become possible. One time I heard a discussion about Beethoven. They found several different alternatives to his Fifth Symphony.
Oh, wow.
The form that we know says da 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 da. These variations made it sound like a pop song. I can't even imitate it, you know. But he considered all those. It sounds so complex and rich, you know. But with Beethoven, I think you can also find traces of, okay, this connects to this, and this answers to that, and it's such rich music, and yet it's made up of those simple parts.
Walk around a little bit and talk about the pieces. You want to get on our feet?
I'm comfortable sitting.